All right, welcome to Smokey Approved Korea. I'm your boy journalist, and on this one, we are here to check out RM featuring Youjeen's Wildflower Explained. Shout out to Bookish Theory. Somebody linked me this in the comments. Thank you very much for doing so. Excuse me. So I wanted to check this out because first record I ever heard from RM was Wildflower, and if you've seen that video, I didn't understand it. I didn't even understand, not one bit. So I'm here to gain some understanding on a song that I did enjoy and that has kind of catapulted us down this little path we're going down right now. So thank you very much for joining me. If you could please hit that like, subscribe. Patreon is in the description if you would like exclusive, early access, or just to support the channel directly. That said, let's get into this one and see what we got.
Hello and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, we'd like to talk about Aram's Wildflower, focusing on a little breakdown and analysis of the lyrics and the music video to see what they can tell us about the message of this solo debut. Wildflower is a song composed by Namjoon that features the collaboration of Youjeen, the legendary vocalist of Korean rock band Cherry Filter. As we'll see in a second, this is a track that in many respects reflects the intention of the album as a whole. If Indigo is described as the last archive of his 20s, Wildflower is a song that summarizes the contrasting emotions that this past decade has brought to the surface. From him yearning for a flame to him getting burned out after reaching it, Wildflower describes Namjoon's desire to live a simpler life after realizing that the limelight is not really for him. If the exciting lifestyle that he always dreamt of can be compared to fire works that explode in the darkness but disappear just as fast, Namjoon compares himself to a nameless wildflower who sings of silence in a world that only praises the loudest voices. Divided between these two contrasting worlds, Namjoon emerges as a flower work, that is, a wildflower who brightens the sky with its fire, despite its nature would suggest otherwise. In the song, his journey to become this flower work begins and ends in a flower field where he's at. In a sense, the flower field can be seen as a metaphor for the world itself, and in this environment, Namjoon presents himself can be seen as a metaphor for the world itself, and in this environment, Namjoon presents himself as a flower who is exactly like the others. Like other wildflowers who bloom, live, and die in the same spot, Namjoon is nowhere, has no name, and knows no shame. So right off the bat, we immediately understand his wish for normality and anonymity. Even if millions of people know his name and see his light, Namjoon wants to blend in, to sing of those times where you don't really feel.
That's also something that has really jarred me as a rapper musician because we pick our artist names and then that's just what folks know me as. People happen to, in the case of BTS, not only refer to all the rappers by their like regular names, but like it's like well known what their real name is amongst the fandom. And I'm just, that's so jarring to me comparative to like how it works in America. Like nobody's calling Snoop Dogg Calvin when we speak about him. Like that's not Calvin Brodus, that's Snoop Dogg. Like what, like nobody refers to Jay-Z as Sean Carter prior to him asking us to do so. Or yeah, like Chad Butler, like in any rapper's real name I know. Like Nevadius Damon Wilburn. Nobody's calling Future that. Like it's just not what's happening. Like it's just so weird to me that you guys are just like Namjoon and just say my man's name so casually like he doesn't have a rap name. And I guess it's just culturally just how it works for us as rappers. I'm so used to like never hearing somebody's real name. Like my boy Mike, his real name ain't Mike. I thought it was his real name and his rap name was based off of that. And then I was talking to his mom on the phone one day and she said his real name. And I was like, ma'am, excuse me, you know your son's name is Mike. I don't know what word you said your son's name is, but it's Mike. And she was just laughing at me like, no, that's not his name. And I was just like, what? Like, it's so crazy that you guys just so casually use him. Or like, oh boy's real name is Hobie. Or no, you guys used a cute way to say J-Hope's rap name to rename Lollapalooza. And I'm just like, there's so many variations of these guys' names that you guys use and all know. And it's not seen as a sign of disrespect to do so. And I'm just like, it's crazy. Because, like, imagine I was calling Snoop Dogg Calvin, like, hey, Calvin, just because I have a reference for him. So I used his, like, regular name. It would be seen as disrespectful. And not saying anybody's being disrespectful for you guys. It's just, like, it's something I've noticed and picked up on. Like, how she's talking about RM as if the album is not by RM. It's by some guy named Namjoon. And I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, it seems so weird to me.
Like yourself. This is because even if his experience is very unique, anyone can feel like a flower work from time to time. So this is a song for all the times where your own heart underestimates you and your own dreams end up devouring you. In the song, Aram tells his story starting from the very passion that led him to where he is today. He followed the longing for the flames, imagined himself being successful, and his wish did come true, but at a very surprising cost. As he explains in the song, when his dream became a reality, fame turned into shackles, and the very desire that led him to success became the very reason he couldn't really be himself. This is because in many respects, the idol industry doesn't leave much room for self-expression, and this is something that RM and BTS themselves have discussed on multiple occasions. Just to name a few, songs like Idol, Intro Persona, or Black Swan talked about different aspects of their relationship with fame, as well as all their struggles to deal with all the labels and responsibilities that came with that. In a similar way, Wildflower hints at the idea that with success, Namjoon might have acquired status, but he also lost himself in the process. While enduring persistent pain and wishing himself a lovely night, Namjoon describes himself holding on to a balloon drifting by. This is a powerful imagery that implies a lot of instability, because this loss of self makes him lose sight of his soul, that is, his true essence, as well as the very dream that he's been working on. In the second verse, for instance, Namjoon
I can now see that I didn't understand nothing. If I was not able to, I guess, interpret lyrics the way I can, that song just, it's completely gone over my head. Completely.
describes the feeling of being so exhausted by everything that he only wishes it could end. This is a very difficult truth to admit, because the harsh reality of his dream almost made him forget of all the happy memories of the past and why he started this journey to begin with. In the lyrics, Aram is especially struggling with the mask that he's forced to wear, which is none other than the persona that makes him play a role that he really doesn't want. For some people he's a hero, for others he's a villain, but the truth of the matter is that he's neither. He's barely anyone, and he's fine with that, because he'd rather be a nameless flower than being somebody that he's not. In order to be the man that people want him to be, Namjoon would have to become somebody else entirely. He would have to raise his voice, face prejudice, misunderstandings, all of which he already did.
She's fucking right. Because I want him to yell at people. I want him to smack people. But to be the person I want him to be, he will for sure have to become somebody who is not his natural self. So I don't particularly actually want him to do these things, but I definitely would not be like, oh, I'm not supporting him no more. Like how a lot of people are like, I'm not supporting Will Smith after he slapped Chris Rock. Say that was Namjoon slapping somebody I said he should have slapped. I'd have been like, can't wait to buy some more merchandise for that boy. Like, hey, you see how he slapped that man? Or Nipsey Hussle when he slapped that guy in downtown LA for doing whatever he was doing. That increased his profile because they were like, yeah, you're not going to disrespect Nipsey. And it's like, hey, I'm not mad at it. You see that slap? It was a pretty good one. It connected too. Like, he got his whole hand on that man's face. That's why I'm like, this lady, she's hitting it on the head. But it's so crazy that all of this is in the song, and I'm better able to understand it now because I've done some research, but I was not able to understand a lot of the deeper implications of the things he was talking about, because honestly I thought he was just some Korean based rapper. Like, that's it. I'm like, it's cool, it's a really nice big video, don't know who the guy is. That's crazy.
But now no more. Namjoon doesn't want to fly anymore. He wants to be a flower among many. He wants to stay grounded and go on a path without a purpose that will lead him to finally know his own sadness and even become friends with his own shadows. You see, in many respects, Wildflower represents his transition from a firework to a flower work. In his 20s, Namjoon was the explosion of light that people needed in the dark. He spent his boyhood shining in the sky, but now he needs to go and find his silence. He needs to get lost in that flower field, because by becoming nobody, he can finally understand who he is behind that mask that he wore for so long. From a boyhood spent burning like a firework, his transition is leading him to light up like a flowerwork for eternity, so it's worth living for a while because someday he will return. Now in the video, this transition is made even more evident because in a sense the world changes as it does. At the beginning, for instance, we are already in the sky and we are descending from above as thousands of explosions light up the clouds. On the ground, we see Namjoon surrounded by fireworks, the light in the dark that represented him for so long. In the video, we see that at first he admires the light, but in a sense he outgrew its shine, so he looks down because the light is ephemeral anyway. His focus is now on the ground because in a way he wants to reconnect with his roots. He's a wildflower after all, so in the next scene, Namjoon appears in the flower field where he wants to be. As he remembers the past, the video highlights the contrast between his difficult beginnings and his nicer present. When talking about his past, the memory is stormy and windy, but when he walks in the present, the weather is gentle and we see flower petals flying everywhere. If you look closely, both the petals and the wildflowers that we see in the field are all purple, so in a way, him reconnecting with his roots also means reconnecting with ARMY themselves. Even if the song expresses the struggles that he endured, his love for ARMY remains the same, and this is because you were there since the very beginning. As he says himself, his start was poetry, and for the longest time, that was his only strength and the dream that protected him. That dream was the one that you gave him. It's the purple stadium that made him a star, and his gratitude towards you is still all there because in the flower field where he wants to escape, all flowers are purple. This is to say that even if in his past he had to confront the darkness and overcome it, you were never really a part of the things that made him struggle because if anything, the purple was the very thing that kept him grounded and gave him comfort. As he leaves for a journey of his own, Namjoon leaves the fireworks behind to transform into a flower work, and in the video this transition is actually represented by the beautiful scene of the Nakwanori. These are a traditional type of Korean fireworks dating back as far as the Joseon dynasty. It's a technique where the powder is essentially divided into tiny bags that are stringed together over water and then eventually ignited. This unique method gives the impression of literal fire petals drifting by, so in the video they symbolize the lighting of the flower work. By the end of the video, Namjoon is exactly who and where he wants to be. He is a wildflower without a name, surrounded by other wildflowers without a name. They are all purple, so he's home, but instead of shining bright, he's speaking silence, finally resting at the end of his 20s. To know what the future has in store for him, we'll have to wait and see, but in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this video.
This was really good. She's like, bookish theories is quality. Because I'm just like, yo, the way she's breaking this video down is exactly why I like to watch old music videos pre 1994. Because music videos 1994 and before, they had no idea what they were doing with the camera. Like, the conceptual ideas of the music videos they shot during that time are just so bananas that I'm just like, y'all filmed everything. Nobody understood how this medium was supposed to work. Like, we went from films to music videos. Films to TV to music videos for visual forms of media, at least in America. And in that short time span from TV to music videos, nobody figured out how to use a visual camera in a way that was not to tell a 2D story for TV or for a film. So that's why those videos then just seem so haphazard to me versus like this video. As I'm watching the breakdown, I'm like, the thought of how the camera's going to work, how everything has its own symbol, like everything means a thing. That's an understanding of how the camera works and how to tell a story, but in a music video, because the song is telling one story and then the video is telling the same story, but in just visual ways. And if you know the artist and their background, well, then that video then begins to mean something. But if you don't, you can learn, and then you can find out how much thought and effort actually goes into like a BTS video or to any of these boys' videos, because that's like, what? I didn't know about none of this. Now, some of it I did know, like the fireworks are real and stuff like that, but that only came after I put the video out and I talked to you guys in the comment section. But there's so much that like I just wouldn't have known without watching this, because I'm just like, my man's just standing there. He just turned around and it's like, but think about it like this. And I'm like, Okay. This makes the video even better. But that's gonna be it for me on this one. You guys let me know what you guys think about this. I will still be doing the documentary on the Indigo album. I'm just trying to do a little bit more music and some research in between we do that, so that is still coming. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Please hit that like, subscribe, Patreon, and all that. And yeah, I'm out of here. Peace.